I beat you. You're too slow.
I was enjoying the moment.
Moment was gone for me a long time ago.
The fleeting passage of time is a sad experience.
It's been a minute since we started with the cracking of a cold beer.
Yeah. It's kind of a cosmic experience.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
We're drinking Space Camper. It's a cosmic IPA.
Yeah. Person on there is totally not Wendy's in a spacesuit.
Oh, I see what you were saying. I thought you said, is it windy? Like, is there wind in space? I'm like, where are you getting this from? Wendy's.
Yeah, it looks like the girl from Wendy's.
Looks like Wendy.
Yeah.
Wendy in space. I'll have a cosmic Baconator. I'll have a cosmic Baconator, please.
I always get the Baconator when I'm there.
How is it?
Oh, the beer, yeah, it's a good IPA. It's strong. It's hoppy.
Yeah, it's pretty okay. It's 5.9%, so it's not crazy. But this beer comes from my aunt. She bought it for the show, along with some other things that we're going to be doing later once we get our Patreon up and running, as I keep saying we're going to do.
I wonder what it could be.
It's a mystery.
This beer is from Arizona. Fascinating.
I don't know if it's from Arizona. I think that's where she got it, but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
So we are back to do tier 2 of the iceberg. Conspiracy theory iceberg.
I love the conspiracy theory iceberg.
What do you love about it?
Well, you never know what you're going to look up. There were some times, like when I was doing the research, because of the computer that I'm on, it's a work computer, I would always use my phone, and if anything looked too sketchy.
Yeah, I used to use my work computer, but then I bought a laptop, and I thought that things would get crazier the deeper we went, but there's a few on here that I'm like, pretty common knowledge.
Yeah, and some of them were really broad concepts. Like we had vampires on here.
Very broad.
What type of conspiracy theory do you have for that? I found this thing on Reddit I was going to read, and it was just the ramblings of a schizophrenic. It was like tying all these different things together, but it was just a rambling, incoherent mess. And the first response was, did the vampire look like this? And you click the link, and it was the vampire on Sesame Street.
What?
It was so funny. The guy who counts. I don't know, the count?
The counter?
1, 2, 3 bots.
Bots.
Yeah, that guy,
Yeah, okay.
whoever he is.
Yeah, but there's also a few. I had one or two that like I didn't really want to go into as much just because of their content.
Ooh, that's exciting.
It's not.
All right, cool. So we will jump into pantheism.
Oh,
This
what
is a
pantheism.
It's a theory about panthers. No, I'm
I
kidding.
thought it was a theory on pants.
So, so if you believe in pantheism, you see God in the whole world around you. Pantheism is a religious belief that includes the entire universe in it as its idea of God. So it's like people like, they're saying that everything's interconnected. So it's like, hey, that wall right there,
That's God.
it's God. Yeah.
That piece of toast, that's God.
That rock right there, God.
This beer is God.
That poop. A person who follows religious doctrine of pantheism believes that God is all around us throughout the whole universe. Pantheism implies a lack of separation between people, things, and God, but rather sees everything as being interconnected. More rarely, pantheism refers to the belief in all gods from all religions, or a tolerance for those beliefs. I feel like that's a cop-out on there. It's like, you know what? Every religion is right.
Yeah. They can't all be right.
It's like, don't some conflict? No. All right. All of the above.
Yeah.
It's like when you were in school and you saw that all the above and you always knew that was like the correct one because they were all similar answers. You're like, easy credit right there.
Yeah. I mean, I thought about that all the time. We have like hundreds of religions out there, right? And they all believe that they're right, but they can't all be right. So at the end of the day, which one is the actual correct
Well, I mean,
religion?
I know the correct religion.
Beer.
No, it's I'm God.
You're God.
Yeah.
God help us all.
God help us.
And no, I don't mean you, Cleet.
The next theory is called intelligent design.
Oh.
I think we all know what that is, right? You know what intelligent
Yeah,
design
like
is.
you walk into a house and you're like, this is intelligent. And
Wow.
I love how you designed
This
place.
design was so goddamn smart.
Whoever colored
And you know
this
what?
picture was smart.
Darwin can shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Yeah, am I right? Man,
Yeah.
this house, though, beautiful.
Yep.
Intelligent design is a pseudo-scientific argument for the existence of God, presented by its proponents as an evidence-based scientific theory about life's origins.
You just got all of the God ones.
God. Have you heard that thing where it's Carl Sagan talking about the origins of the universe?
Mm-mm.
And it's a redneck, and he like covers what he's saying with creationist answers. It's so funny. It's like, the universe was created in 7 days. The earth was created by God. It's hilarious. It's so funny. Proponents claim that certain features of the universe and the living things are best explained by an intelligent cause, not an indirect process such as natural selection. Intelligent design is a form of creationism that lacks empirical support and offers no testable or tenable hypothesis, and is therefore not a science. The leading proponents of intelligent design are associated with the Discovery Institute, which is funded by Christians and is considered politically conservative think tank. That's within the United States.
You don't say.
Yeah, pretty cool, right?
Yeah, very cool.
So, do you believe in evolution, Britton?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you? Did you come from a primate?
Of course I believe in it. The next one is actually really interesting. It's called LA oil rigs.
Those oil rigs.
So when you're driving down like in LA, you've never seen an oil rig, right?
No.
Yeah. So this one kind of surprised me, but like I really believe this theory. Like I think this is completely factual.
You're bought in, huh?
Yeah. So before Los Angeles was known for making movies, it was known for making something else, oil. Believe it or not, LA used to be a small seaside town until the late 1800s. In 1892, Edward Dehoney discovered the first successful oil well near present-day Dodger Stadium.
Wow.
The Los Angeles oil field became California's top-producing oil field, and in 1901, there were 200 separate oil companies active there. Over time, though, the city was being built on top of these oil fields. While Los Angeles doesn't look like the oil giant it once was, there are still a number of active drill sites all over the city. These oil rigs are hidden in plain view on high school campuses, attached to shopping malls, and located inside buildings that otherwise look like regular office buildings. So it's like those 4G towers that you see that they disguise like as trees, but like oil rigs in LA. And I guarantee you, like, you know, that place would probably frown upon oil rigs being built like in their neighborhood.
Right.
So like literally they're disguised as buildings. Like you can't even tell.
So your neighbor's house could be an oil rig.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like your house smells kind of oily. So.
Could be an oil tycoon. It's like my neighbor has a 40-gallon cowboy hat. He always has stacks of money in his hands.
I always see a bunch of trucks leave his backyard.
I saw him run out of his front door yelling, "Yeehaw! My goddamn oil tycoon, yeehaw!"
Yeah, I don't know. That's a really interesting theory, though. And you subscribe to it, huh?
Oh, it's 100% true. Yeah.
Oh.
Vice did a documentary on it.
Okay. I mean, it's not nearly as far-fetched as some of these are. So, I believe it. I believe it. So I'm going to start with a theory called Ghost Girl.
Spooky.
Yeah. Now, the thing is, there were two big stories that I could find. Neither one of them were like, this is the Ghost Girl conspiracy. So I just covered both of them.
Oh, cool.
So the first one comes from Mentor, Ohio, and has a few sources and sightings, as well as video footage. The footage comes courtesy of a smart doorbell that captured what appears to be a ghost traveling at unnatural speed. As with most sightings of paranormal or cryptic sightings, the footage is somewhat blurry and hard to see, and it doesn't help that it's night outside and very dark. Have you seen this footage before?
No, not at all.
It's pretty crazy. Several people in that neighborhood and surrounding ones called police, stating that they had seen a child around 7 years old running around alone and were concerned for her safety. So this was seen by a lot of people in the neighborhood. A cop on the scene stated that he didn't feel it was a child based on the speed at which it traveled, not to mention it suddenly disappeared without a trace. So what would you do if you're a cop and you're like, there's a ghost girl running around the neighborhood? What was your first thought?
Well, I'd be annoyed, but you have to investigate it because I'd be like, okay, so there's some random child running around the neighborhood.
You're like,
and some weird superstitious guy's like, it's a ghost girl. You need to go exercise it from the hood.
Right. Exercise it from the hood. So the Mentor, Ohio Paranormal Research Society stated that they believed it was just a person running and that the camera was simply out of focus and that we had to consider the lighting effects that could be going on. So it could just be a regular person out for a jog. They went on to say that it's not impossible to have been a ghost, but that they would have to study the footage much more closely in order to determine. One other possibility presented was that it could have been a plastic bag simply blowing in the breeze. It's like, how do you mix up a ghost girl in a plastic bag?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
So that's the first theory. Just if you believe in a ghost girl running across a camera. The second theory is not as broad, or it's much more broad, but it implies that there can be a ghost girl that watches over you when you sleep.
Yeah.
That was about it.
Yeah, it's like sleep paralysis. Yeah. Okay.
She's usually sitting in the corner, just kind of watching you sleep.
I just like watching you sleep. You know, Cleet, we all watch you sleep. When you're about to close your eyes, we got a group of like 20 people, and we just stare for 8 hours.
Man, it sounds like you're in Georgia. So that's the ghost girl conspiracy theory. Both of them were kind of interesting, but, that's that. Next one, Operation Fishbowl. Have you heard of Operation Fishbowl?
I used to play that when I was a young child.
I don't think you did.
Oh, God, what is it?
It's when you take two peepees.
Oh, man.
So this operation of sorts was carried out in 1962 by the United States government. The sole purpose of this operation was to send nuclear bombs into the atmosphere and detonate them in order to see what would happen. Can you imagine having a nuke and what does this thing do? I don't know. Let's launch it at the atmosphere.
Yeah,
Sounds
that
smart.
seems reckless.
Right? The operation was planned to take place in 3 phases called bluegill, starfish, and uraka. The name originates from the fishbowl-like appearance that the explosions would create. It would just detonate, and it looks like a giant fishbowl in the atmosphere. Imagine the disastrous aftermath of these detonations. So you'd think weather patterns, damage to the atmosphere. It's not good to launch a nuke anywhere.
Yeah, it's like right after I got a weird sunburn.
Yeah. Start to itch. Your eyeballs start to bleed a little bit. Upon reaching the bluegill test, the first series of tests, the launch went horribly wrong, and the bomb exploded on the launch pad, spreading radioactive materials throughout the area. So they couldn't even launch it. It just blew up in the fucking launch pad.
Did they successfully ever do it?
Yeah, so they launched a couple more. So this operation failing, of course, caused Operation Fishbowl to stop for roughly 3 months while they cleaned up the area, decided what went wrong. From what I read, it was some of the coolant or some of the fuel had leaked through the inner chamber and leaked down through the propulsion system and just caused it to explode. Operations continued once cleanup was done, and several more nukes were launched into the atmosphere. I think so all tests went through, so they launched several into it. But, you could go an entire episode on, what they were trying to do and everything. But Operation Fishbowl was launching nukes into space.
Nice.
That's that. Did it happen? Absolutely.
We got to blow it up in space before the Russians do.
Yeah, essentially. So I will end my 3 with archdemons and archangels.
Hell yeah.
So you talked about God, I get the angels. So this idea stems from Christianity, go figure, and tells of archangels, which are essentially the leaders and chieftains of the angels, right? You normally hear of them in leading the choirs, and they're just the most righteous beings that there possibly can be. When the archangels are cast out of heaven for sinning, whatever they want to do, and they're sent into hell, they become archdemons, which again is essentially a leader among demons. Archdemons have a strong tie to the 7 deadly sins, which I think would be a really good episode to cover anyway. You could go into the whole idea of where they came from and everything, but the theory is, do they actually exist? Is there a superior angel force that gets cast into hell? It's a superior demon force,
Well, I know they exist.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because I'm God. I made them.
I forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
All right, let's jump into the Philosopher's Stone.
Is that a Harry Potter book?
Yeah, so Harry Potter.
This is a theory on Harry Potter.
I've never read the books. Kind of went out there. Never read the books.
Wow.
All right, so what is that? Well, comes from the Middle Ages to the late 17th century. The so-called Philosopher's Stone was the most sought-after goal in the world of alchemy, the medieval ancestor of chemistry. According to legend, The Philosopher's Stone was a was a substance that could turn ordinary metals such as iron, tin, lead, zinc, nickel, or copper into precious metal like gold and silver.
I thought it was granting immortality.
Stay tuned. I'm kidding.
Stay
It
tuned.
also acted as an elixir of life with the power to cure illness, renew the properties of youth, and even grant immortality
Oh, snap.
to those who possessed it. The Philosopher's Stone may not have been the stone at all, but a powder or other type of substance. It was variously known as the tincture, the powder, or my favorite, materia prima.
Materia prima.
Like if I had something that could turn anything to gold, I like the materia prima. I like
You want to
that.
snort some philosopher's powder? Make you immortal. Makes you feel like you're never going to die.
It's gold, baby. It's gold.
Your nose is bleeding a little bit. Shut up.
In their quest to find it, alchemists examined countless substances in their laboratories, building a base of knowledge that would spawn into the fields of chemistry, pharmacology, and metallurgy. Yeah, but does it exist? Nah.
No.
Unless you're that guy. Who's the guy that's better than Batman and Marvel? What's his name?
Fucking
Oh, yeah.
punch you.
Iron Man. Iron Man. Yeah, that's
Batman
him.
is not better than Batman.
Well, agree to disagree.
Okay. You have a good plug. I want to hear from our listeners. Iron Man or Batman? Which one's better?
No, Iron Man or Batman. I'm just saying in Justice League, when Superman came to save the
was
day,
one instance.
Batman literally pissed his pants with a smile on his face.
That was one instance.
Yeah.
One instance.
Yeah.
The worst.
All right.
Anyway, continue.
Yeah. Next theory. This is one of my favorites, actually. My red is not your red.
I have never heard of this one. I was actually curious as to what the hell this is. Is it just like when you see different shades of red?
Well, Vsauce, actually, famous YouTuber, covered this in one of his episodes. So, anyone with normal color vision agrees that blood is roughly the same color as strawberries, cardinals, or the planet Mars. Let's see the blood right
I'm
now.
going to show you some red.
That is, they're all red. But could it be that what you call red is someone else's blue? Could people's color wheels be rotated with respect to one another's? That is the question we have all asked since grade school. Haven't you asked that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do we see the same colors? When I look at the sky, is it that nice, cool shade of blue? Or does Britain see some weird pink stuff?
You're telling me the sky is blue. You're a weirdo. It's a shade of fuchsia.
Yeah, fuchsia, fusion. So, in the past, most scientists would have answered that people with normal vision probably do all see the same color. The thinking went that our brains have a default way of processing the light that hits the cells in our eyes, and the perception of light's colors are tied to the universal emotional processes. But recently, the answer has changed. So what they mean by that is like, McDonald's, they have the yellow arches and the red. It's because they theorize through studies that like draws you in and pushes you out.
Right. Red and yellow are drawing colors, which is why you have, like, I think Jack in the Box is the same thing.
Yeah.
Burger King, same thing.
If I owned a fast food franchise, I would have it be black and yellow.
I was just going to sit there in silence for like 5 minutes.
Jay Neitz said, I would say recent experiments lead us down the road to the idea that we don't see the same colors. Another color vision scientist, Joseph Carroll of the Medical College of Wisconsin, took it one step further. He said, I think we can say for certain that people don't see the same colors. He told Life's Little Mysteries. One person's red might be another person's blue and vice versa, the scientist said. You might really see blood as the color of someone else's that they call blue, and the sky as someone else's red. But our individual perceptions don't affect the way the color of blood or that of the sky makes us feel. Because what they're originally saying is like, no, you see the same colors, but for whatever reason, they don't hold that adage anymore. It's gone.
I do believe in the fact that, like, I don't think everybody sees the exact same shade of something. So, like, you might see a red that might be a little bit more dull, and mine might be a little bit more vivid. Might be a completely different color altogether. I don't think anyone sees the same version of what a color actually is.
Yeah, I don't know, man, but it is trippy to think about.
The brain works in mysterious ways.
All right, you want to talk about vampires?
Let's do it.
So I couldn't find a damn thing about vampires. Okay, so broad. You know, like I was looking up the historical references of like why people thought vampires were real, but I decided to be funny, and I took what someone on Reddit wrote about vampires.
Okay. Obviously, the idea of the conspiracy theory would be that vampires even exist in the first place.
Yeah.
But, like, where do you go to talk about that? Because read Twilight and tell me.
I don't know, man. All the theories were just weird, man. Some people are like, this political spectrum are vampires, and there was one that just didn't make any sense. My
neighbor never comes outside at daytime. He's a vampire.
One time, I love garlic, and I filled up.
Excuse me.
I like garlic, and I made him a meal, and he winced at it. He must be a vampire.
He said he doesn't like garlic. Who the fuck doesn't like garlic?
Garlic's
I'll tell you, vampires.
Yeah. Anyways, so a Reddit user wrote this. If you didn't already know, blood banks are actually run for vampires.
Oh, no.
For our vampire overlords, if I can say that, as well as the occasional human blood transfusion. So he's saying that's mainly for vampires, and every once in a while they'll help someone that needs the blood.
I mean, obviously it's for vampires. Like, duh.
The majority of the blood that gets donated ends up being consumed by literal vampires. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a metaphor. Now, I know a lot of you might think this is a reason not to donate, but I'm here to tell you that if we don't regularly donate blood, then vampire attacks rise. Seriously, every time we have blood shortage, missing persons increase. So please, get out there and donate blood unless you want to be hunted down in the night by little vampires.
Shit, dude, it's been a while since I donated. I don't want to have to face a vampire.
Yeah, dude.
I'm just going to willingly help them feed.
No, you're going to be in an alley walking and you hear, it's your fault, Britain. You're the reason why I have to do this.
Why aren't you sharing all that goddamn blood?
That delicious blood.
I can see it pulsing through your veins. So we're going to start with aura.
Aura?
Aura.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think most people know what aura is or even heard of what an aura is, right? The aura is described as a kind of human energy shield which encloses the human body. In some esoteric positions, the aura is known as a subtle body. Cleet, your subtle body's showing.
It's called a supple body, Britain. That's my supple body.
Your body's nice and supple. You suck. Psychics and those who practice holistic medicine claim to be able to see the size, color, and vibration of an aura.
I can see your aura.
I bet you
It's
can.
black double dealing, you little bastard.
Wow. My red is not your red, Cleet.
Fair enough.
In spiritual alternative medicine, the human aura is described as a hidden anatomy of a person that can help determine the state of being and health of any given person. So obviously you look at someone who practices holistic medicine, they go, Cleet, your aura is a little it's a little dull right now. You must be kind of sick. And you're like, no, I'm just hungover. It's like, well, it's a little dull.
Your aura is being a little bitch right now.
I hate your aura. How about that? It's also related to chakras, which are centers of vital force within somebody. Obviously, science and medicine don't support this idea. I mean, go figure, right? You go to the doctor and they're like, how's your aura? You're sick with the flu, it might be your aura. It's a little out of whack.
I'd go see another doctor.
You're like, I'm leaving. Do not send me a bill for this bullshit. There have been attempts in the past to capture an aura with photographs.
Did it work?
Let's see. French physician Hippolyte Baraduc attempted this photograph back in the 1890s. Supernatural interpretations of these pictures stem from a lack of understanding of the simple natural phenomenon behind them, such as heat emanating from a human body in infrared. So they would take pictures in infrared and go, that's the aura.
That aura is real warm. You see it?
Everyone's aura is bright red. Yeah, but it's just infrared, right? The body emanates heat. Unless it's dead, then it's cold as ice. So that's an aura.
Cool.
Does it exist? Do you have an aura, Cleet?
Oh, hell yeah. I got the biggest aura around.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. So this one I thought was really cool. So I spent a lot of time on this one. It's a long one.
Let's hear it.
Good. This covers Francis Levy's handprint. It's actually pretty cool.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's just a handprint. So this theory involves a Chicago firefighter who predicted his own death.
Oh, my God.
Damn. Back in the 1920s in Chicago, there was a firefighter named Francis Levy. Very nice, mild-mannered gentleman, always put his life on the line to save others from catastrophe. But one day, his demeanor started to change as he started to become more and more detached and withdrawn. On April 18, 1924, while cleaning the fire station windows, he started to breathe heavily, leaning against the window he was cleaning for support. Yeah, just like that. Other firefighters noticed and reportedly heard him mumble between gasps of breath that he was suddenly overcome with worry that he was going to die that day. His coworkers chalked it up to a panic attack and stress, attributing it to the change in behavior the prior weeks. Not long after the breakdown, a call came in from a fire in Curran Hall, which is a 4-story building across town. Uh-oh. It's playing up to it.
Is he saying, like, I'm going to die, or is he saying, like, I'm too old for this shit type of die?
Oh, like he was just cleaning a window and he just suddenly felt like he was going to die that day. Like his life was over. I can't imagine having that feeling, like just that deep knowledge that, yeah, I'm going to die today. What would you even do? I don't want to know what you would do.
Smoke a cigarette.
They suited up and rushed to the hall. This fire was unlike any that they had fought before, exhibiting weird behaviors and patterns. The fire was described as running down the stairs like lava, and other flames were said to leap from place to place, almost as if being controlled by something.
Fire that's going down like lava.
Right?
Oh, my God.
What's that lava fire? So it sounds like someone's controlling the fire, right? This is so real. With the lack of breathing apparatuses, the firefighters were soon overwhelmed as the walls and ceilings came tumbling down. With the severity of the fire, nearly every firefighter in the city was called in to help. It was too late, however, and the lives of 1 civilian and 9 firefighters were lost that day, including Francis Levy. The fire was reported as arson, which was started by owners of a sporting goods store on the lower level in a bid to collect insurance money.
You're fired.
Oh, yeah. The strange behavior of the flames was the result of wood alcohol being splashed all over the building. So it was like just going everywhere because they just doused the entire building in wood alcohol.
Oh, man.
The owners of the sports shop were convicted of arson and murder. Now, this is where things get weird, is back at the station when the firemen were cleaning, one of them noticed something strange on the window.
Was it like a dick print?
Yeah, it's a big mushroom stamp. Not...
It was hilarious.
The real conspiracy is Francis Levy's dick print.
They washed it off so many times, but it always came back.
Why are you rubbing the dick with
it? Always came back.
I can't continue with this. Jesus Christ. It was a dick on the window. No, it wasn't a penis, but something resembling a sooty handprint was...
I'm sorry. I'm done. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll stop. Okay.
I don't think you will.
All right, I'm done.
You'll be like almost done and you'll just start laughing again.
Okay, no more.
He attempted to wipe it off, but it remained. See, you fucking ruined it because exactly what you said and joked about happens.
The dick print comes back even after we wash it with Windex.
And longer.
And it was sooty.
And
so
more aggressive. God damn it, Clete. No matter how many times they attempted to wipe it from the window, it remained. Several others came to investigate and take a stab at cleaning it, but it still remained on the window. Not only did it stay, though, but appeared to become more and more clear with each attempt of removal. So it's like getting more and more like burnt into the window. They suddenly realized with horror that this was the same window that he had been cleaning when he confessed to his vision of death. The window remained for over 2 decades, drawing much attention, as you might guess. It remained until its destruction caused by a careless paperboy who threw a paper through the window on April 18th, 1944. Can you imagine, like, this piece of history is just gone because a paperboy broke it?
Yeah, that's tough.
It's terrible. The story remained a staple in Chicago. Many people believed the tales where many didn't. We do know that Francis Levy was a real firefighter and that he did tragically lose his life. Beyond that, though, could all be speculation.
That's hard.
So the last one I'll finish with for kicking it back to you is Bohemian Grove.
Never heard of it.
We've talked about this one a little bit before, right? This was like tier 1.
I'm jonesing to hear this.
Yeah. So I think we have covered this or something very similar in a prior episode, but the Bohemian Grove is a 2,700-acre campground at 20601 Bohemian Avenue in Monte Rio, California. It belongs to a private San Francisco-based gentleman's club called the Bohemian Club. Now, what could an all-gentlemen's club in 2,700-acre campground be doing all the time?
I don't know.
Speculation. In mid-July each year, the campground houses a more than 2-week get-together of some of the most prominent men in the world. We won't go into the club, as that will come later in another episode.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of ties in. And like we've talked about meeting places of, the elitist groups and everything. So this was just that the place exists. And I mean, it does. The group exists.
Yeah.
It's real. It's not a theory, but that's Bohemian Grove.
Nice.
We should try and sneak in one year.
Yeah. I'll be named Alex. Your name will be Jones. The next theory, again, very general, lost civilizations.
What? There's none of those.
Well, it's kind of crazy when you think about it, how much humans have progressed in the last, even just 200 years. I mean, you go back 1,000, but it's like the rate of technology and the expansion of knowledge is just growing at such a fast pace. And humans have been around for a long time, between 200 to 300,000 years, right? So it makes you wonder, because I always feel like the world's teetering on destruction, right? Whether it's going to be one country blowing up another and then starting a World War III and we all use nukes and we're dead. So it makes you wonder, like, what if that did happen like 1 million years ago? Like, what evidence would be left? Right?
I don't know.
Now,
Definitely not your house.
this one comes from Reddit as well. And someone posted this. Modern human beings have been around for 200,000 years. Archaeological history reaches back at the very most to, what, 30,000 years? As with the Chauvet Cave? That's 170,000 years we are completely ignorant of. We can barely imagine the span of a single millennium, let alone 170 of them. Knowing now how hard it is to make artifacts that last longer than a few thousand years, it is impossible. There are dozens or hundreds of advanced civilizations with language, writing, mathematics, farming, engineering, religion that are simply lost forever. I've had to think that there's at least one truly incredible civilization way, way back that has left absolutely no trace. So that's what they wrote.
That is kind of interesting to think about, that like there may have been a civilization that has nothing left.
Well, imagine if like all humans died from like some weird disease. Let's call it like the Budweiser disease, okay? It just ruins everybody.
All right.
Right? Everyone's dead.
I got
Like,
the bud.
I got the bud, damn it. That means you got, I don't know, a 30-pack, 30 days to live. Anyways, like how long would it take for the nature to just like take over New York City? Eventually the vines, the brush will grow over the skyscrapers as it loses its structural integrity and they kind of like just tighten up around the structure and it falls. Like eventually there'll be no remnants of that city. How long does that take? I don't know, 1,000, 2, maybe 10. But 1 million? Oh yeah, for sure, man. All that's going to be gone. So like, maybe like a human civilization could have existed 150,000 years ago and we have no idea about it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This destination where we're recording right now could have been the most advanced math lab that there ever was to exist.
We made math all day here. We did subtraction, multiplication until we just couldn't sleep anymore for days because we just love math.
I got so excited. My arms got super scratchy.
Why
Super
your eyes
itchy.
wide open? Because I got to solve this theorem. The next theory is super general again. Paranormal beings.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Are we in tier 2 or tier 1?
I
Because
was struggling. All right.
like how do you okay, yeah, paranormal beings, do they exist? Do they not exist?
Here's a theory. Conspiracy theory. They're all real. Or they're fake. I don't know. That's it.
They are or they aren't. That's it. That's
All right.
that's the argument.
Well, I found something interesting on the internet, and I'm going to read it.
All right.
Theoretically, if a 3D person meets a 2D person, the 3D person would have no difficulty understanding the 2D chap. However, the 2D person would have great difficulty understanding the 3D person. The 3D person would also be able to hide from the 2D's perspective by moving above him. However, so would make the 2D person unaware of the 3D person's presence. And 3D would be able to manipulate 2D's environment in ways the 2D could not understand. Enter ghosts, spirits, and demons, and everything else that goes bump in the night. If these are 4D beings, well, they would have the advantage of being able to hide themselves from our 3D perspective, making us unaware of their presence until they wanted us to know they were there. They would also be able to manipulate our 3D environment without detection, without any logical explanation we could even comprehend. If paranormal entities exist, they may very well be 4-dimensional, which would explain why we have such trouble explaining them. What do you think?
So it's just a constant evolution of more Ds.
Yeah.
I do think that that's an interesting topic. That's a way to put it. I mean, you think about, like you said, a 2D person interacting with a 3D person. It's just, there's just more availability to you.
Yeah.
There's more dimensions.
Just a lot of availability.
So it's
when
like
you got a 4D.
It's like a 10D person looking at a 9D person who's being looked at by a 12D person.
Like, oh, wow. Such amateurs.
Look at that 1D.
I will show you the world. All right. Next one. Professional sports are scripted.
Ha! I believe this 100%.
This is fun. I like this because I have been an avid NBA fan. And I swear to God, those refs do not like them small market teams. So a lot of this I've had to go to Reddit for. And this is another story of someone who believes this in what they wrote. This Redditor states, so it's pretty clear to me. All professional and even college games are scripted by numbers and influenced by Vegas. I believe everyone is in on it, from players to coaches to refs to announcers to Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless. It's all a sham. No real competition. I feel like there's a lot of examples. The missed tackle last year in the NFC Championship game. I need to put context behind this. This was 2 years ago. Steph Curry's performance Game 7 when the Cavs came back from their 3-1 win. Wait, was that 3 years ago? That might have been 3 years ago. But I remember that. That was crazy. You remember J.R. Smith? You remember what he did? Like, he got the rebound, was like looking around. All they had to do was get a layup to win. It was scripted. All right. There's always meaning behind stats and numbers and the scores. It's all predetermined. Why does almost nobody see this? I love sports and watch them, and I listen to the sports shows. But some people are convinced it's real, and I know it's not. I believe the NBA rim is such that they can decide who makes what at what time. Kawhi last year, Game 7 buzzer beater. I believe the NFL can make field goals do what they want.
I saw the ball just take off in midair.
I saw
it vanished. It came back.
I saw the NBA hoop. It moved to the right.
The hoop was dancing, making a mockery of these players.
It's really entertaining, but I know it's scripted. I like people with videos of instances where the Vegas line was at jeopardy of losing big money and something crazy happens on the last play of the game. Houston versus Golden State Warriors last year, Curry misses a wide open layup to save the Rockets, covering by 5. Something like that. And theories on why it's just blindly accepted that what we are all seeing is real competition with no influences or predeterminations. Someone replied to this, and I did find this reply interesting. What they said is, I've heard this conspiracy theory before. Electronic magnets on the rim and in the ball or something. There's also something about how you're not allowed to take an NBA ball home. So that's the one thing about the
real?
NBA. Yeah, dude.
They will not let you take it home?
Yeah, like if a ball goes into the audience, they will take it from them. They will stop the game. So like in baseball, you get the baseball, that's great. That's part of the game. But like
even in football, they'll throw the football in the field.
Yeah. No, it's not allowed. They will take it.
I did not know that.
That's hella sus.
I think this is a fun one. I mean, do I subscribe to it? Did you say sus?
Oh yeah, I've seen some susses before, and that is by far the sussiest.
I think it is a fun one.
Well, I think the argument is it soft or hard rigged, right? I personally subscribe to the theory that it's soft rigged, meaning that the refs have and any sport has a lot of leeway on how to influence the game, whether it's just a general interpretation of a call, a foul, holding in NFL games. I think that they have strong influence if they want to use it and need to.
Yeah.
Not to mention, there's incentives for, like, I'm a big NBA fan, so I'll go with that. Like, games going to Game 7. Mm-hmm. Like, there's just, they get so much revenue and TV rights for extending a series. I mean, think about the Kings game when they played LA. Like, there was that huge controversy where there was like 24 fouls called on the Lakers in quarter 4 in Game 6.
Yeah. I mean, why would you go 4 games when you can drag it up to 7? You're getting profit from 3 more games.
Money, money, money.
So, like, yeah, I agree, though. I think it is more of a soft thing. I don't know. I think this is a fun one because, you know, I don't maybe subscribe 100%, but it's interesting. It's fun.
It's fun.
Okay, so I'm going to start with something called snuff cinema. This is one that I didn't want to go too deep into.
Like Snuffleupagus on Sesame Street? Is that what you're talking about?
I wish it was that wholesome. So again, with this being such a touchy subject, we're just going to talk about it, move on. So snuff cinema itself isn't the conspiracy here, as it's a very real thing, unfortunately. Snuff cinema is the recording of vile acts such as murder, rape, etc., and the sharing or distribution of it. Right? That exists. It's a real thing. The theory piece here is who is behind the camera. You know, there's speculation to elitist groups who've been suggested as producing or buying. Again, this theory is just horrible all around, so that's it. Snuff cinema.
All right. Okay. Have a good bye.
Have a good day, bye. Okay, the next one is called gang stalking. Like, not like a gang sock, but gang following, like you're being stalked by a gang.
Yeah, like the Jets.
This phenomenon revolves around the belief that an individual is being followed, stalked, or harassed by a large number of people who may be working together.
Hang on. This reminds me of a commercial where the guy runs into his ex-wife. It's during the Olympics. And he's like, hey, how have you been? And she's like, oh, I'm doing great. You know, I'm going through school, just about to get my bachelor's degree. Oh, and the governments are watching me. All the governments. And then she starts saying like crazy shit. Like, I slept in an eagle's nest last night. He's like, dodged a bullet. I didn't know what the commercial was for.
I had no idea. I didn't know that was even a thing. So this phenomenon is seen a lot in those who do suffer from schizophrenia. Just imagine for a second, you're getting in your car, right? Pull out of your driveway. You're just taking a trip to the supermarket. Maybe a car down the street that's been parked on the sidewalk or the curb leaves at the same time you do. They're following you, right? They take on the same street. They're leaving the neighborhood, which is the only path out of there. You know, and they follow you for a while. We've all had that. You know, you might not think of like, oh, this is something superstitious. This is something weird. But gang stalking, that would like eat that person alive. Like they would feel like they're being targeted, right? Or you step out to go get your mail from the mailbox and your neighbor stops to look over at you for a second. They're just kind of looking at you. They're like, I'm being watched. And then you start to realize that the person in your neighborhood and the person in the car, they're working together.
Is it like the government watching them? I don't understand. Or just some random people?
Just random people that are out to get you for some reason. So
right.
The idea is that when you have these sort of interactions, that they're all working together to stalk you, to follow you, right? Can you imagine having that kind of thought in your head all the time? That would ruin you.
Yeah. I mean, it depends. Like, if you thought the government was watching you, you wouldn't have to pay for home security.
Yeah. So that's the idea of gang stalking, is it's just this general idea that there are people that are out there to follow you and to stalk you, and everyone's working together, essentially.
Nice.
Yeah. And then this one is also very vague. We've also covered it a couple different times, but experiments on humans. That's just what the theory states, is that there are things and places and areas that do experiment on humans. I mean, we talked about MK Ultra for the first part of the Iceberg, you know, with the mind control. There's some tests during World War II that did human experiments. I mean, the theory here lies on how much experimenting has been done and continues to be done in modern times. So there's that.
The next one is the Crystal Skulls.
Is that another Harry Potter book?
Yeah. It's Harry Potter and the Crystal Math Lab. The origin of the crystal skulls can tend to be a rather mysterious topic. Part of the issue arises because quartz crystal is a natural stone that comes from the earth. Therefore, we cannot carbon date the crystal. The only way that the science community can currently estimate the age of a crystal carving is by examining its surface to see if there's any evidence showing how it was carved and whether it shows ancient or modern marks, or in some cases, no marks at all. Now, crystal skulls have been found all over like ancient sites, especially in like Mexico, but they've been found all over the world. So people are like, where are these skulls coming from? Or are they like fraudulent? Were they actually made by the ancients? Or was it some type of weird fabrication by some troll man who lives in their mother's basement?
Yeah.
So first, it's important to distinguish the categories of the crystal skulls that have been found. The majority are considered to be new/modern contemporary crystal skulls. A large number are considered to be old crystal skulls, around 100 to 1,500 years old, and a select few are classified as ancient skulls over 1,500 years old. The power of the crystal skulls seem to be amplified in the presence of other crystal skulls, perhaps the more the merrier. Although the actual number varies from legend to legend, most popular legends speak of 13 crystal skulls coming together to bring about profound transformation on Earth.
Wasn't the crystal skull the topic of the most recent Indiana Jones film? Where he like crawls into a fridge during a nuke and gets blown to hell and like crawls out of the fridge.
I thought it was a remake, but it was one of the original Indiana Jones as well, wasn't it?
No, they did a fourth one. Like, because they had the original three and they did a fourth one where he came back and like Shia LaBeouf, wasn't it? Ugh. And he's like in a nuke town and he crawls into a fridge. The bomb goes off and like throws him hundreds of thousands of feet away.
Did he die?
No, he just crawls out.
Okay. All right.
Hollywood.
All right. Fair enough. Well, yeah, I mean, this movie was based off the crystal skulls. Yes. Sandra Boland, crystal skull researcher, that means you know she's serious.
Yep.
Talks about 36 crystal skulls, and Don Alejandro Cilero Occitel Perez, a Mayan high priest shaman, has mentioned 52 crystal skulls are in existence.
Wow.
Some legends and theories state that the original crystal skulls were not created by hands of man at all, but may have been carved by extraterrestrial origins.
Aliens.
The damn aliens did it. Some say that they may be the crystallized consciousness of advanced beings related to Atlantis, the Pleiades, or beyond. Scientists who have said that the Mitchell-Hedges skull technically should not exist because they cannot understand how it could possibly have been carved may inadvertently be supporting this extraterrestrial theory. So there's like a famous skull found. They call it the Mitchell-Hedges skull because it was an archaeologist who found it in like a Mayan temple. And supposedly we can't explain how it was made.
Oh, okay then. Crystal skulls.
Yeah. The next one is called the Sixth Extinction.
Oh.
Yeah, right. That's not good. Since the formation of Earth, there have been 5 mass extinction events. The most recent was 66 million years ago during the Cretaceous period, famously leading to the extinction of the dinosaurs.
Big old meteor.
Yeah, die, you little bastards.
They weren't little, they were big.
Yeah, die, you big bastards.
Big bastards.
However, in recent decades, scientists have found reason to think that we may be in the existence of the 6th mass extinction. A mass extinction or extinction event can be defined by a rapid and widespread loss of biodiversity, with the IUCN predicting that 99.9% of critically endangered species and 67% of endangered species may be lost within the next 100 years. There are strong indicators for the presence of the 6th mass extinction event. This is generally tied to human activities. So Britain, maybe instead of drinking beer all day and, doing what you do, maybe you could start a garden and quit driving. Dick.
I'll get right on that.
Okay. The next one is pseudosciences. Again, very general. Pseudosciences describe any belief system or methodology which tries to gain legitimacy by wearing the trappings of science, but fails to abide by the rigorous methodology and standards of evidence that are the marks of true science. Promoters of pseudoscience often adopt a vocabulary of science, describing conjectures as hypotheses and theories or laws, providing evidence from observational and expert testimonies, or even developing what appears to be a mathematical model of their ideas. The conspiracy part, or notion, is that these things are labeled pseudosciences, or some things are, but is actually a cover-up when they're actually legitimate. So let's say, Britain, you make a car that runs on water, and you're like, look at my water car, you oil people. Then
I get murdered.
And then you get murdered, and people are like,
it
that's
as
pseudoscience, and he's full of shit.
Yeah. Yep. So let's talk about something called Saturn's rings.
Oh, yeah.
This theory doesn't play on the fact that Saturn's rings are fake themselves, because we know they're not fake, they're real.
They're hella
Saturn
real.
has rings, but states that an asteroid collided into Saturn a long time ago, which caused particles of the asteroid to get stuck in the gravitational pull of the planet.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's a theory. That's how they were created.
It seems scientific.
Exactly, which is why I was like, I don't know why this is such a crazy theory.
Okay.
But anyway, so I guess the worry here is because Saturn isn't that far from us, like in terms of space, obviously. It's very far away from us. But in terms of space, it's pretty close. But people are unnerved because if something could hit Saturn, it could hit us in the same fashion. I mean, maybe one year we'll have Earth rings.
Yeah. Earth, it could get hit by asteroids or comets.
Yeah. I always see sometimes that like there's a thing on Facebook. It's like there will be a meteor passing by Earth this Saturday. But what happens if we get one that doesn't pass by? Just
passes right into you.
Right through us. So yeah, that one, again, I had that same thought. It's like, that seems pretty damn scientific. Like, that seems really cool. Why is this a theory?
Yeah, seems scientific. Weird. Okay.
So anyway, the next one, talking about one of the many end-of-the-Earth catastrophic events, let's talk about the polar shift.
Yes.
This theory states that over time, the Earth's magnetic poles will shift and change. The north and south poles will essentially interchange, which will cause tectonic plates to move and collide with each other. Massive earthquakes and storms will ensue. You know all that stuff that happens in those huge Hollywood films about the end of the Earth?
Yeah, cool. Like 2012. Nice. I bet the Mayan calendar told us of this.
Yeah. So the poles are going to shift over time, and it's just going to create this huge just explosion. Polar shift. End of the Earth. I think there's been so many end of the Earth things. What do you believe?
Yeah, won't it just end already? Jesus.
Yeah. Well, that could be the 6th extinction, or maybe the 7th. You don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the Large Hadron Collider.
Was it a heart? Hadron, yeah. Not hard on. Hadron.
Not hard on. The Large Hadron Collider. So I referenced this before when I talked about the summoning conspiracy theory, if you remember.
Yeah.
The LHC, for short, is the world's largest and highest energy particle collider. It was built by the European Organization for Nuclear Research between 1998 and 2008. Over 10,000 scientists collaborated during its creation, along with hundreds of universities and labs with over 100 countries. A lot of people working on this thing. It lies in a tunnel 17 miles in circumference and 574 feet beneath the France-Switzerland border near Geneva. This thing is pretty damn huge.
Nice.
The collider has 4 crossing points where accelerated particles collide. It has 7 detectors used to detect different phenomena. The LHC primarily collides proton beams, but can also accelerate beams of heavy ions. The goal of this LHC is to allow physicists to test the predictions of different theories of particle physics.
Yeah, like the standard model.
Right. So it's searching for unresolved questions in particle physics.
Yeah, like the Higgs boson. Does it exist?
Yeah. The Higgs boson was one of the ones it talked about. So it's a bunch of sciencey shit. But this is the big theories was that, there's been warnings that, like, if we don't be careful what we're doing, we could essentially summon God or an evil entity from this thing. So it could act as a portal to bring something otherworldly and extraterrestrial to us. So we got to be careful with this Large Hadron Collider. We don't want to bring God down if we don't need him.
Sounds great. So the next theory is Oumuamua. Oumuamua.
Oumuamua.
You know Oumuamua, right?
Yeah.
So it was that weird thing that came from interstellar space, flew past Earth, and everyone's like, what the fuck? Right?
I think just like that.
So Harvard scientist believes that it could be an alien spacecraft. Interesting. And it was also the first interstellar object to ever be detected.
Wow.
So why do people think it was an interstellar object? Well, its trajectory plotted a slingshot trajectory close to our sun. Our sun. The gravitational acceleration effect is well known as an intelligent way to gain momentum during interstellar travel. We did that with Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, by the way. Yep. The fastest objects ever created by man. Its trajectory was also perfectly calculated to take it so close to the Earth that it seems highly unlikely to have been the random path of the first ever interstellar object through our solar system. NASA states that it was not shaped like any asteroid they have ever seen, being cigar-shaped. It is 10 times longer than it is wide, so it's kind of like shafty.
This reminds me of like Austin Powers when they have the little...
Its shaft rotates slowly, in a manner in which seems calculated to utilize centrifugal force to stimulate gravity for intelligent life inside it, as predicted by scientists in many works of science fiction.
I bet it's works of science fiction.
So its shaft emits no dust, and it's likely to be made from metal. Oh yes, and the shaft is red.
You're spending a lot of time on this shaft.
It makes sense that an intelligent civilization would send out a small probe or shaft to investigate other star systems. After all, it's what we would do. Would you send a shaft?
Oh, yeah.
The next one is People of the Mount. People of the Mount.
Hills have eyes.
In 1864, zoologist Philip Sclater published an article about civilization of species called lemurs, in which he was puzzled by the presence of their fossils in both Madagascar and India, but not in Africa or the Middle East. He hypothesized that Madagascar and India had once been part of a larger continent, which was the first theory leading to the discovery of the ancient supercontinent Pangaea.
Pangaea.
Following the scientific discovery, the concept of lemura began to appear in the works of other scholars. Ernst Haeckel looked for the missing link in this area, proposing that the fossils of the first humans sunk under the sea, because that they theorized like there was some missing landmass in Pangaea or something. I don't know. But some proposed the lost land went somewhere else. Fast forward to 1899, when Friedrich Spencer Oliver published A Dweller on Two Planets, a book which claimed that survivors from the sunken continent, called Lemura, after lemurs, were living in Mount Shasta. In the book, Lemurians lived in a series of complex tunnels beneath the mountain. Locals would sometimes see the creatures wandering outside the mountain in white robes. All right, the next one is the World War II Black Book. In July 1940, Walter Schillenberg of the German Secret Service drew up a list of 2,694 people believed to be living in Britain, who were known enemies of the Reich. In that month, the Wehrmacht was poised across the channel, ready to hit Britain with a Blitzkrieg, the terrible and hugely successful tactic that had already overwhelmed Poland, Denmark, Norway, Holland, Luxembourg, Belgium, and France. The names of Schillenberg's list represents the heart and soul of a nation that made the British what they were, but that list also included a diaspora from Europe, the intellectuals, politicians, and writers who had been driven out of their own homeland by the speed of the German conquests. All human life is there, lives that were, to the Nas, unworthy of life. So what it's saying is the German army, if they invaded Britain, were going to basically these people.
Yeah. So let's talk about a little theory called fish rain. Fishy rain.
Smells fishy.
So this is a fun one, and as the name suggests, it's a phenomenon that occurs when fish fall from the sky. Why does this happen? Well, we really have no logical idea. Some theories suggest that a potential tornado pulled a bunch of fish from the water and hurled them all over the place, sometimes hundreds of miles away. But I mean, it's pretty far-fetched, right?
No, that makes perfect sense.
I mean, no, it makes perfect sense.
It does.
It does. I mean, it's better than just fish falling from the sky, right? The idea of fish falling is far-fetched of itself, but you know, it has happened. And it's not just fish either. Reports of rats, snakes, and other various animals have been seen falling from the sky. Remember that episode where we talked about the falling meat? And we talked about the tornado that hits a razor blade factory that goes through a meat factory?
Yes.
It reminds me of that. So it's just like these damn tornadoes just throw shit everywhere. Like,
that would be a death tornado through a razor blade.
Razor blades and meat. A couple fish heads flying around.
Oh.
Yeah, if you ever see a razor blade tornado, it's time to get the fuck out of Dodge.
God's pissed.
But yeah, that's fish rain. So sometimes fish will fall from the sky. It's a big prophecy, the end of the world. Next one is Clinton body doubles.
Okay.
It's also, like the name suggests, it states that throughout history, the Clintons have used body doubles during politically challenging times where they didn't want to be in public themselves. So obviously they would find someone that looks alike. They'd send them out into the public to give those speeches and make appearances without putting themselves in danger. Because obviously, if you could get out of danger by sending someone that looks like you, why wouldn't you do it? Right? So that's the theory, is that they've used body doubles out there rather than actually making appearances. So
Fair enough.
it's pretty, again, it's pretty vague. You could go into, other theories, but that's just it, is using body doubles. And before I send it to Cleet to wrap up the tip of the iceberg, because I think this would be the end of the tip. We've already talked about that. Let's finish with the butterfly effect. This theory revolves around a Hollywood film starring Ashton Kutcher, who travels back through time attempting to change events in his life to achieve the perfect ending where he lives happily ever after. So the theory is this movie doesn't exist. Nobody's seen it. Some have a recollection of watching it. Spooky, right? Have you seen it?
Nope.
Yeah, because it doesn't exist. It's fake. I mean, I could have sworn I saw it. Obviously, I'm kidding. Only slightly, because the movie does exist. It's a very good movie.
I've heard of the movie.
So the movie does exist. The theory does revolve around time travel and states that a seemingly small change can cause a whole slew of changes and disruptions to occur in the future. For example, right? Last episode, we did a tarot reading, the first one. Not a good one. Very dark and foreboding, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say that we decided we're going to go back in time and we're going to take a different card from the deck.
Yeah.
Maybe to replace death. I don't know. Maybe by taking that card, we could have had an even worse reading. And then maybe your house could have exploded because of the reading.
This card says your house is going to explode. It even has your address.
Right. Or let's say, for example, even more realistic, right? That, I went back in time and said, I want to do another reading before I go home, right? And I do another reading, and then I get in the car and I drive, and I get in a car accident and die.
Oh,
Whereas I left early because we didn't do the reading and I made it home safe. So one small thing you change could cause all sorts of disastrous events in the future. So that's a butterfly effect, is essentially you tamper with time in any way. In the smallest idea you might think might not do anything, it's going to throw the fuck out of everything.
It just puts you on a different frequency.
Yep. So that's the butterfly effect.
All right, let's do the final four. This one is called the Ninjins. Over the past few years, rumors have circulated in Japan about the existence of gigantic, humanoid life forms inhabiting the icy waters of the Antarctic.
Oh, so it's like giants.
Yeah. Reportedly observed on multiple occasions by crew members of government-operated whale research ships, these so-called Ninjins are said to be completely white in color, with an estimated length of 20 to 30 meters. Eyewitnesses describe them as having human-like shape, often with legs, arms, and even 5-fingered hands. Sometimes they are described as having fins or large mermaid-like tail instead of legs. The only visible facial features are the eyes and mouth. According to one account, crew members on deck observed what they initially thought was a foreign submarine in the distance. When they approached, however, it became clear that the irregular shape of the thing, that it was not man-made, it was in fact alive. The creature quickly disappeared underwater. For the most part, the existence of the Ninjin is considered an urban legend. Much of the information about this rumored creature can be traced back to a series of posts on the 2-channel forums, written by a person describing the experience of a friend employed on a government whale research vessel.
It would terrify me. You're out in sea and you just see a giant come out of the water.
Just some hands.
No thanks.
The popular thread attracted the attention of many readers from outside the 2-channel community. In the November 2007 issue of MU Magazine, a Japanese publication devoted to the study of paranormal phenomena, featured an article about the Antarctic humanoids. The article speculated on the possibility of unidentified creatures inhabiting the southern seas, and it included a Google Maps screenshot showing what looks like a Ninjin in a South Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Namibia. To date, no solid evidence has been presented to confirm the existence of Ninjins. The government is believed to have kept detailed records of the sightings, but they have released no information to the public and have reportedly instructed eyewitnesses to remain silent.
Ah.
All right, the next one is the Patterson-Gimlin massacre.
Oh, no, not a massacre.
Do you know what the Patterson-Gimlin video is?
No, actually.
It's the Bigfoot, the famous Bigfoot footage.
Oh, that's what they call it?
Yeah, it was filmed by Patterson-Gimlin. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So apparently, there's a longer version of this film. Apparently, yeah, or there's a prequel, as I would say.
But I'm guessing it's deeply hidden and not accessible.
Yeah, it's not from the original guy, but some found documentary, I guess.
Found footage.
Yep.
Okay.
The film starts off very shaky. After a few seconds, the subjects come into focus. It starts off with a few of these creatures digging for something, not just one. I remember him saying distinctly 3. This is someone who was told the story, I guess. I don't know.
A telling of someone who watched it.
Yeah. They are very far away from the camera. They start to walk down a trail or a path, and then they stop by a pond or a puddle of water. They separate, but then soon regroup. It seems like these creatures were just doing surveillance of the area. They look like Bigfoot. Should put some pretext there. Surreal is the word he used because he was not sure what to make of this. The whole time the camera is on them, and they don't know it. Then all of a sudden, a hail of gunfire comes from the tree line and blasts these things cold.
What the hell?
One of these creatures drop, and another one bolts into the woods. The remaining one, strangely, just walks and staggers off. As one of these creatures walked off, someone keeps taking pot shots at it from the distance.
So that's where we got the famous...
Yeah, that is the creature that is seen in the other person filming.
Okay. So you leave it up to humans to just like, oh my God, and then massacre.
Yeah.
Just gun them all down.
All right, the next one is called the Hooten Plan. So I'm not really going to go into this that much. I'll try to give some brief excerpts. It's not good. Not good at all. So after World War II, the Germans didn't win the war. And some people did not like that population because they thought they had the propensity to war. And they proposed a plan to send all the males to Europe to fix the cities that were blown up and to send other men from different countries to their country so the women weren't by themselves.
Oh.
The end. All right.
Moving on.
The next one is oil pit squid.
Oil pit squid?
Yeah, so apparently someone found a squid and some weird shit.
Oh.
So let's go into a eyewitness testimony. A worker stated, I live in Indianapolis. There is a
I tried.
There is a manufacturing town called Anderson, about 20 to 30 minutes north of the city. This story was originally told to me by a guy that I work with and lives in Anderson. At the Delphi plant, they had a tank that they used to store byproducts and chemicals from making bumpers. They found several squid-like creatures in this toxic goo.
Whoa.
They got creatures in my goo.
Several of them, huh? So it's not just one.
One apparently had an eye. These specimens were taken and no one ever saw them again. No word was ever sent as to what really was. That's how it was written. I don't know. There were a few of them. They apparently were somewhat transparent and resembled squids, about as big as your hand. These chemicals would not be conducive to any kind of life. It's called the oil pit squid, the person said. That's it. That's all. So tier 2, we're done.
Squids living in oil. Yeah. So we are officially done with tier 2, which means that we just have to... Oh my God, it's such a cute cat.
Said Ginger. Hey,
It's
Ginger.
Ginger.
Hi. I'm so sorry your poop looks like fucking fungus.
Anyway, so yeah, we now we just get to descend even deeper
Into the shaft
of the iceberg. So tier 3 will come sometime in March, yes, because we do one a month. So look forward to tier 3 in March. And as we wait to deepen into the iceberg, we ask you, dear listener, to send us your suggestions of topics and ideas that you want us to cover and questions that you'd like us to ask the Spirit Box at entertheabysspod@gmail.com.
And if you guys are watching us on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe. It really helps us grow our channel. And as always, thank you for entering the abyss.
Until next time.